I live in a world of silence. Being hard of hearing means I experience life differently. I rely on the vibration of the floorboards, the shift of shadows, and the hyper-awareness of my peripheral vision. I've accepted that the night holds secrets I will never hear, but I never imagined that silence could be so deafeningly loud until that winter. It was February, the kind of deep freeze where the air feels like shattered glass in your lungs. I live in a quiet, tight-knit suburban pocket of southern Quebec. Our backyard bleeds right into the tree line of a vast forest.
That afternoon, the sky was a flat slate gray. I took Monty, my Rottweiler Husky mix, for our daily run. The snow was pristine, a fresh white sheet that had fallen overnight, erasing the sins of the previous day. Monty was ecstatic, tugging at the leash until I unclipped him. We walked for 30 minutes, deeper than usual. The silence of the woods is usually comforting to me, but that day, the stillness felt heavy. We reached a fork in the trail. To the left was the beaten path, to the right a trail of virgin snow, untouched by man or beast. Feeling a spark of adventure, I chose the untouched path.
It led to a clearing I'd never seen before. I pulled out my new binoculars, hoping to spot some cardinals against the white backdrop. I scanned the tree line slowly. Then I stopped. It wasn't a bird. Hidden deep within the brush, camouflaged by heavy pine branches, was a structure. A blue tarp stretched taut over a makeshift frame. It didn't look like a kid's fort. It looked lived in. It looked predatory. A cold shiver that had nothing to do with the temperature crawled down my spine. "Let's go, Monty," I whispered, though I couldn't hear my own voice well. We turned back. That's when the atmosphere shifted. Monty, usually a ball of chaotic energy, went stiff. He stopped running ahead. He stayed glued to my leg, his hackles raised, his nose working the air furiously. I looked down at the snow, and my heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Footprints. Huge, heavy boot prints. They were fresh, and they were on top of my own prints from 10 minutes ago. My mind raced. There were no other trails. This meant someone had been behind me. Someone had been watching me scan the clearing, standing just out of sight, and had walked past me while I was distracted by the binoculars. The sun began to die, casting long, skeletal shadows across the path. We walked faster. Suddenly, Monty whipped around, facing the darkening trail behind us. I felt the vibration of his bark through the leash before I saw it, a deep, guttural warning. I turned around. He was there, less than a meter away. A towering figure, at least 6'4", looming over me like a monolith. He wore charcoal snow pants and a white camouflage hunting jacket that made him nearly invisible against the snow. He was motionless. His hands were buried deep in his pockets. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe visibly. He just stared. I saw his lips move. He was muttering something. Fast, rhythmic muttering. Was he threatening me? Was he asking for help? Was he speaking English or French? The silence of my disability turned him into a terrifying mime. I felt helpless, exposed without my phone. I pointed to my ears, shaking my head frantically. "I can't hear you. Hard of hearing," I stammered, backing away. He didn't react. He just kept muttering, his eyes locked on mine. I turned and ran, dragging Monty with me. I didn't look back until I was inside my house with the deadbolt thrown. I tried to rationalize it. Just a weird hiker, a socially awkward hunter. I went through my evening routine, trying to wash the feeling of his eyes off my skin. I went to sleep around midnight. But the nightmare wasn't over. 3 a.m. I woke up to a wet sensation on my hand. Monty was nudging me, licking my fingers. I groaned, reaching for my phone. The screen blinded me in the dark room. One new message from neighbor. "Hey,
Is everything okay over there? Your dog has been barking his head off for 20 minutes. It sounds like he's possessed."
I sat up, ice water flooding my veins. I hadn't felt the barking. I looked around the room. Monty wasn't there. I scrambled out of bed and ran to the landing. I could feel the floorboards vibrating now. Thump, thump, thump. Monty was downstairs, throwing his body against the patio door. I crept down the stairs, my vision blurry without my glasses. The backyard was a black void. Suddenly, the motion sensor floodlight flickered on, bathing the snow in a harsh, clinical white light. My breath hitched.
He was standing in the center of my backyard, the man in the white camo. He wasn't looking at the dog. He was looking up at my bedroom window. I didn't think, I didn't breathe. I backed away from the glass, terrified he would see me, and texted 911. "Intruder, backyard, send help."
I grabbed Monty by the collar and dragged him upstairs, barricading us in my bedroom. I pulled a machete from under my bed, a relic from my martial arts days, and sat in the corner facing the door.
Then, the worst moment of my life happened. Monty stopped barking at the window. He turned slowly, faced my bedroom door, and let out a low, vibrating growl that shook the floor. I watched the gap beneath the door. The hallway nightlight cast a faint glow. A shadow blocked the light. 2 feet, standing right outside my door. He was inside. He had broken in while I was running upstairs. He was standing inches away from me, separated only by a thin layer of wood. I gripped the machete until my knuckles turned white, waiting for the handle to turn, waiting for the violence. Minutes stretched into hours. I stared at that shadow until my eyes burned. Then blue and red lights flashed against my curtains. The shadow moved away. The police found the patio door glass shattered. Shards covered the kitchen floor. The back gate leading to the forest was wide open. He was gone, disappeared back into the tree line where I had seen that blue tarp. They never found him. But sometimes, when the house is quiet and the snow falls, I still feel the vibration of footsteps on the floorboards, and I wonder if he ever truly left.
We were young, bored, and stupidly confident. I remember, 16 years old, and my sister Kate is 15. We thought we were adults because we could sneak into an R-rated movie. We were wrong. It was a Tuesday. We skipped homework to see Terrifier 3, giggling as we bought tickets. The theater was dark, the movie loud and gruesome. Halfway through a tense scene, my phone buzzed. It wasn't a soft vibration, it was a loud, jarring rattle against the cup holder. Heads turned, people glared. Flustered and embarrassed, Kate and I grabbed our popcorn and scurried out of the theater, tripping over our own feet in the dark.
Out in the lobby, I checked the phone. A missed call from Dad. Then a text message. "Hey, honey, would you mind bringing me some lunch? The small cafe near the job site is shut today. I'm starving." It made sense. Dad worked for a forestry group clearing land about 30 minutes away. We went home, packed sandwiches, and hopped into my beat-up sedan.
The drive to the woods was scenic, passing through winding roads lined with snow-dusted pines. We arrived at the nature reserve, a massive, isolated area with a steep hill rolling down to a fishing lake. It was a place of childhood memories, usually filled with laughter. Today, it was empty. "I'll call him," I said, stepping out of the car. The signal was weak. It rang and rang. No answer. "That's weird," Kate frowned, hugging her coat tighter. "He just texted us." I texted him, "We're here. Where are you?" Almost instantly, the 3 typing dots appeared. "Walk down the hill. Meet me on the fishing dock. I'm waiting." We began the descent. The sun was setting. painting the sky in bruised purples and blood oranges. The shadows of the trees stretched long and thin, like grasping fingers. At the bottom of the hill, the lake was still as glass. At the end of the long wooden dock, a figure sat on a bench facing the water. He wore a heavy black coat and a hood. "Dad?" I called out. My voice echoed across the water. The figure didn't move. He didn't wave. He sat rigid like a statue. A knot formed in my stomach. "Kate," I whispered, "stay behind me." We walked on to the wood planks. Creak, step, creak. We got closer. 10 feet, 5 feet. "Dad, stop playing around," I said, my voice trembling. I reached out and yanked the hood down. The hair was wrong. The smell was wrong. Stale tobacco and sweat. The man whipped around. It wasn't Dad. It was a stranger with wild eyes and a twisted, manic grin. In his hand, he held my father's phone. He didn't speak. He just waved the phone in the air, mocking us, his smile widening until it looked painful. "Where is he?" I screamed. "Where's my dad?" The man laughed, a dry, raspy sound. Then he lunged. His hand shot out, clamping around Kate's wrist. She shrieked, a sound of pure terror that pierced the quiet woods. Instinct took over. I grabbed Kate's other arm and threw my body weight backward. The man's grip slipped on her slick jacket. "Run!" I screamed. We scrambled up the hill. My lungs burned in the cold air. The ground was slippery with frost. Behind us, I heard heavy boots pounding the dirt. Thump, thump, thump. He was chasing us. He wasn't just scaring us, he was hunting us. We reached the car, fumbling with the keys. I jammed the key into the lock, threw the door open, and we dove inside. I hit the lock button just as a face appeared at my window. He slammed his fist against the glass, still smiling that sick, wide smile. I reversed blindly, tires spinning in the gravel, and sped away, leaving him standing there in the dust. When we burst into our house, sobbing, Mom and Dad were sitting in the living room watching TV. "Dad!" I screamed. "You're here!" He looked confused. "Of course I'm here. Why are you crying?" "You texted us. You were at the lake." "Ember," he said, his face darkening. "My phone was stolen from the job site this morning. I've been here for hours."
The blood drained from my face. The man had stolen the phone, waited for a contact like daughter to call or text. Or maybe he just took a chance. He had lured us there. We called the police. They tracked the phone. It was still at the lake. The man was gone. We thought it was over. We thought we were safe behind locked doors. 1 a.m. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. My phone pinged. Unknown number. I opened the message. "I like that your house is lit only by the light of your bedroom TV. It makes you look like an angel." My heart stopped. I froze. The TV cast a flickering blue light across my room. Rustle. Outside my window. On the second floor. I slowly turned my head toward the blinds. Through the slats, I saw a face. He was there, perched on a ladder, pressing his face against the glass. He raised a black pistol and pointed it at me. I rolled off the bed just as the window exploded. Bang! Glass showered my bed. I screamed for my parents. Downstairs, another crash. Smash! The kitchen window. "He's inside!" I screamed. "He's inside!" My dad grabbed his baseball bat. We huddled in the master bedroom, locking the door, listening to the crunch of glass downstairs. We waited for the footsteps on the stairs. We waited to die. But the sirens came first. The wail of the police cars filled the street. When the officers cleared the house, it was empty. He had vanished again. But they found one thing, one small detail that explained everything.
Taped inside the wheel well of my car, caked in mud, was a small white disc, an Apple AirTag. He hadn't just met us at the woods, he had been watching us before that. Or maybe he tagged the car while we were at the movies. We never knew. He knew where we lived. He knew exactly which room was mine. He is still out there, and every time my phone buzzes, I flinch. The year was 2021. The world was shut down, but the snow didn't care. I was driving a rusted-out Hyundai that had no business being on the road. I had just left my parents' house in upstate New York. It was midnight. The blizzard of the decade was raging outside. The wind howled, shaking my small car. Visibility was zero, just a wall of swirling white in my high beams. I was tired, stressed, and admittedly, I had consumed a few drinks at dinner. I wasn't drunk, but my reflexes were dull. I hit a patch of black ice on a sharp curve. The world spun. My car became a sled. I slammed into the brakes. Mistake. The car careened off the asphalt, flew over a ditch, and smashed head-on into a massive oak tree. Crunch!
The airbag deployed, punching me in the face with the smell of burnt gunpowder. Silence. Total, ringing silence. I checked my limbs. I was okay, but the car was dead. The hood was crumpled like tinfoil, buried deep in a snowbank. I was miles from civilization, surrounded by dense, ancient forest. I called roadside assistance. 40 to 60 minutes, the dispatcher said. I called my dad. I'm coming, he said. Sit tight, lock the doors. I waited. The cold began to creep in, seeping through the thin metal doors.
Then I heard it, over the wind. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps in the heavy snow, slow, deliberate. "Dad?" I whispered. It was too soon for him. I opened the door and stepped out into the biting wind. "Hello? Is someone there?" The footsteps stopped. From the darkness of the tree line, about 20 yards away, came a sound that made my stomach churn. A wet, sloppy, tearing sound, like meat being pulled from bone. Slurp, tear, snap. "Who's there?" I yelled, trying to sound tough. The sound stopped abruptly. Silence. Then a shadow moved. A large, dark shape shifted between the trees. It stood on two legs. It watched me. Panic set in. I scrambled back into the car and locked all the doors. I huddled in the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel. Thump. Something hard hit the passenger window. I screamed. The window was covered in snow, so I couldn't see out. Thump. Another snowball? A rock? I couldn't take it. I needed to know. I grabbed the 9mm handgun I kept in the glove compartment, a jagged piece of comfort. I opened the door and stepped out again, gun raised. I swept my flashlight beam around the car. My blood ran cold. Footprints. Boot prints. Not animal tracks. They circled my car, round and round and round. Someone had been walking circles around me while I sat inside. The tracks led away from the passenger door and trailed off into the woods, accompanied by a splatter of dark red liquid. Blood. "I have a gun!" I screamed at the trees. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was the shock, maybe the adrenaline. I followed the bloody tracks to the tree line. Just past the first row of pines, I found the source of the slurping sound. Lying in the snow was a deer. It had been freshly killed. Steam was still rising from the carcass, but it wasn't roadkill. Its stomach had been slid open with surgical precision, entrails spilling out onto the white snow. And the head? The head was gone, severed cleanly at the neck. I gagged, the smell of hot copper filling my nose. This wasn't a coyote. This was a person, a psychotic person. I turned and ran back to my car. I just wanted to lock the doors and wait for my dad. I reached the Hyundai. I yanked the driver's side door open. I froze. My brain refused to process the image. Sitting in the driver's seat, placed carefully on the upholstery, facing me, was the severed head of the deer. Its tongue lolled out. Its glassy, dead eyes stared directly into mine. Blood was pooling on the seat, soaking into the fabric. Someone had been watching me walk to the woods, and while my back was turned, they had sprinted to my car, placed the trophy in my seat, and vanished. I screamed, a raw, primal sound. I didn't get in the car. I couldn't. I ran to the middle of the highway, waving my gun like a lunatic, crying in the blizzard. Headlights appeared. My dad. I collapsed into his passenger seat, hysterical. The head in the car! He thought I was drunk. He thought I had a concussion.
He drove us back to my wreck. He got out with the flashlight. There's nothing here, son. I looked. The driver's seat was empty, but the blood was there, a massive dark stain on the seat. And outside, the deer carcass was gone. Only a wide, bloody drag mark leading deeper into the forest remained.
They had come back. They had taken their trophy. I never filed a police report. What could I say? That the woods were hungry? That I was being toyed with? I stopped driving at night, and I never, ever go into the woods when the snow was falling, because I know that somewhere out there, something is watching, waiting for the next car to skid off the road.